everybody, welcome to one of our social media lives. Today we're talking about disability in pharmacy. So I'm joined by Binta, a community pharmacist that works at Boots, and you might recognise her. We did a social media live back in December for International Disability Awareness Month, and so we've just come back again just to revisit the topic to see what Binta's experience has been like and to talk about what more we could potentially be doing in pharmacy. What's really nice about talking to Binta and the conversation we'll be having today is that we'll be talking about a positive experience of working in community pharmacy, and with the right adaptations and the right support, what's possible as a wheelchair user. So Binta, welcome and thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. It's really nice to speak to you.
Thank you for inviting me, Aman. I appreciate this.
So as part of the work that we've been doing with disability in pharmacy, we always like to raise awareness on the issues people are experiencing and the challenges people are experiencing, but also what's possible with the right support in working in pharmacy so that you can have a successful career. So, Binta, just to start with, could you just tell me a little bit about yourself, what your career journey has been so far, and then the next step of your career? Because I know you've just signed on to do an independent prescribing course as well.
Yeah, Aman, so I've been qualified for almost 20 years. My career has always been with Boots, and I've had a positive experience so far. And I'm managing a community pharmacy at the moment with my store manager and with my colleagues as well. I'd like to think I was pharmacy manager, but I don't think I am. I don't think I'm that important. But anyway, we have a lovely team that we work with, and the next course that I'm going to be doing is the independent prescribing course, which I'm looking forward to, which I think that will really bring our pharmacy into the next part of our journey, I think, as a for community pharmacy.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. And so if you don't mind me asking, Binta, but could you share a little bit more about your condition and I suppose what that means for you on a day-to-day and also what that means in a day-to-day for work as well?
Yeah. So I've had multiple sclerosis. I've had it since 1996. So that makes it, 24 to 26 years now. It's been an interesting journey, one where I've learned a lot. And my disabilities helped me to shape the way I practice pharmacy. So like I was telling you before, I used to drive, then I didn't drive. I used to walk, now I don't walk. So my hands are strong. Now they can be a little bit weak, but I've got such a great team around me, good colleagues, and Boots have organised for me to have extra support in the pharmacy, so that I've got an extra colleague that helps me. A lady came down from head office to do an assessment, and she mapped out what support I could have. So she said to me, for example, because I've got a wheelchair that goes up and down, so she said to me, how far up can you reach? How far down can you reach to get things off the shelf? And she put extra budget. She put extra person in the budget so that there'd be an extra person there to help me. For example, just to get folders, just to pick up things. Some things that for everybody else it's easy just to reach a folder. For me, a colleague's got to stop what they're doing to do that. And all these minutes in the days accumulate. By the end of it, you don't finish things that you intended to do. Therefore, this extra person has helped so much for us to finish tasks in a timely manner, so people get the medication in a timely manner. And they've always been very, very kind to me. Every manager has taught me something. And some experiences, you think, oh, why did that manager say that to me? But nobody's ever said anything out of to be horrible. It's positive criticism, as encouraged me to better my service I can offer to my patients, and obviously better myself, to give me a bit more sort of like, you know what, I am doing a good job. I am doing a worthwhile job, and yes, I can achieve this. And just the other day, in fact, a customer came in and said, I come in here to see you. And, I'm so happy to see you. And you've made me sick, because she had a disability and she had a child in a wheelchair as well.
Mm-hmm.
And she's saying to me, you know what, you just proved what things can be done.
Oh.
So I wasn't always a pharmacist. I did a biochemistry before pharmacy, and that springboarded me into the profession. And here I am.
That's really good to hear. Yeah, well, that's lovely to hear that you're being a role model and an inspiration to people in your local community. What has been really interesting when we were chatting outside of this about some of the adaptations that you've made with your patients so that you're still able to perform your job and help the patient. So for example, like the blood pressure cuffs and how you ask a
Yes.
patient. So if you could just talk us through some of the adaptations you've made, because there might be people
Yeah.
listening thinking, actually, how can I do that in my
Yeah,
practice?
absolutely. For example, you'll be aware as a pharmacist that one of the new services going live is the hypertension case finding service. So I kept thinking, oh no, to put a cuff on somebody, you know, because I can sometimes go over people's wheels if I get too close. I would go with my wheels, go over their toes, and that's not very nice. So I was explaining to myself, how do I do this? So now I've discovered a way now. I direct the patient to put the cuff on themselves and turn the cuff around correctly, sit correctly so their feet are flat on the floor, and yeah, they're doing all that themselves. And I think we should be encouraging patients to do this themselves anyway, due to self-care, because they're not always going to have a pharmacist or a healthcare professional at home to do their blood pressure should they need to monitor this themselves. So yeah, this is really working. And they just press a couple of buttons on the machine, give me the piece of paper, off I go, email the surgery with their results. And if I need to do a same day referral, I'll do that. I can do my parts and they do their parts. And it's just made a big difference in terms of, you just got to think out of the box.
Mm,
It's not always about, oh no, I can't do this. Yes, it's possible, but just, I suppose you've got to think there's always another way. There's always
yeah.
another way. You've got to navigate the system.
And how have the patients responded to that?
Really positively. Like, and some patients, okay, initially they think, oh, why is she asking me to do this? But then when they come in the next time, they've come and told me that that was really good. I was able to do my blood pressure myself at home now. Because I had one patient the other day. The reason why they weren't getting a blood pressure reading was because the tube was round the other way.
Oh,
They were trying to. I said, my love, you don't have it. You don't have your brachial artery there. You got it around the front. You'll be the first person if you had it around the back.
but that's quite nice that you're, like you said, you're empowering them as well.
Yeah.
And so actually, these adaptations are benefiting everybody in a really
Yeah.
positive way.
Yes, and if we are to bring the profession into the 21st century, achieve the 10-year deal, achieve our 5-year pharmacy plan, then this is the only way to do it. Because there are going to be people with disabilities, and they're not going to have like a doctor or a pharmacist or somebody at home, even another person at home to help them do this. But if they can do this themselves, then hey ho, it's done.
Yeah, no, that's really good, and I'm exciting to see what your future is in terms of the IP course as well, and the because I know people are probably concerned, about if you have to do a particular service again, but actually what adaptations can be made so that the patient is still getting the service that they need, and you're still able to do
Yes.
your job.
Yeah, and also we have to help patients to think this is possible. If we
Mm,
don't if we always sort of like spoon feed people, then they're not empowering themselves to do things. It's a great achievement to think I've achieved this, I can do this.
yeah. That's brilliant. And I think so. I know your experience has been really positive, and you mentioned the fact that you've had good managers to have conversations and do your
Yes,
assessments. And sadly, we've had feedback and people shared their experiences that other wheelchair users perhaps haven't been able to work in community pharmacy because of the restrictions in accessibility of a community pharmacy store and stuff like that. And I just wonder. Through your experience, what have been the enablers? So the conversations that you've had, how have they happened so that they've enabled you um, to work? And almost, what have you had to do, and what have your managers had to do to kind of meet in the middle to go right now? We're providing the service, but you're happy
yeah.
as well.
Number one, first and foremost, they've seen me as a worthwhile member of the team, and they thought, you know what, she can do this. So I had a manager that nominated me so that I'd get like a like a person to come down to do this assessment. So the lady came down, and she arranged for me to have a new till put in. But so this, but initially the till wasn't right. So this man came down from Nottingham to build this till, especially for me. So it's one of these where like I said, my wheelchair goes up, so I can go underneath, I can use a till, patient, then I can serve the patient, and he had to come all the way down to build that especially for me. And there's like all the tape measures came out, and then they managed to move some of the shelves away behind the dispensary, so there's space for my legs to go under the desk. And also, when you come to this a special terminal on the right hand side that I use, as I can also, there's all the space has been cleared underneath for me to go underneath as well, and the
Okay.
keyboard can be moved forward. So it's
Yeah.
all these things.
They're small, but they're significant, aren't they?
Yeah,
Because
together. Yeah, together
yeah.
they are. Together they are. And you just have to think yourself, if something's not right, you have to say, look, this is not working, can we change it? Can we change it? Can we change it? And no, you're not changing it such that you're not one of these people that are going to be a real pain or every 2 minutes you want something changed. Just say it once and it's done properly once.
Yeah, yeah. And I
That's
think
it.
that's so having someone with you and just talk through your needs
Yeah, yeah,
has really helped. And because I think sometimes some people's experiences are that assumptions are made or people are afraid to have those conversations of, how, so what are your needs and what can we do?
yeah. I think my advice would be not to be scared. Just, if something's not right, look, I'm struggling. Can I have a little bit of time extra to go and do this? Or can I, you know, I just need a little bit of time. That's it. And most of the time, it's about people that are surrounding you as well. I've got some fantastic colleagues. If they can see some days I'm having a tough day, then if I'm pick like for example checking a cream. Some creams can be quite heavy, so my colleagues just pick it up, and say, "Look, sign it, and let's put it in the box. Let's put
Yeah,
it away." Because
yeah.
that happens with MS. Unfortunately, your strength can dwindle sometimes.
But that's really nice that basically you're a team, aren't you? And you're just looking out for each other.
Yes. Yeah, and also by the same sort of token, I sometimes yes, I do go and do some work in my own time. If it if it's my day off, I will sometimes go into the emails, check this and check this, send this and do that. So we work as a team because sometimes because of things taking me a little bit longer, um, I just and I like to think about things as well. Sometimes thinking too much. So if I go and do it at home in my own time, then I've thought about things and things have got actually like this service that we had previously talked about, the contraception service. I'm trying to get this up and going. Now there's going to be some extra training with regard to that. So to communicate this, I'll be forming some sort of a one pager for my colleagues to just tell them, look, this is a service we're going to be doing, and this is how we're going to achieve it. This is what these all these things that are going ping, 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 ping in my mind. How are we going to keep the store colleagues in the loop of what's going to be happening? Because everybody needs to know what services we're offering, so that when people come into the counter, we do offer this service. Let's help you.
Brilliant. Okay, that's really, yeah. So you're always thinking about stuff, and then from a line manager's perspective, what advice would you give to a manager who might be afraid of starting the conversation or asking what adjustments do you need?
I think consent is the biggest thing. You first of all, you need to go and speak to the person that's disabled in confidence. Would you like to have this conversation? Because some people do not want to talk about their disability. Because initially, with my journey with MS, in the beginning, I didn't want to talk about it because maybe I was it was taking me longer to accept what was happening to me. But then after once I'd accepted it, the world was my oyster. But if a manager didn't say to me, "Ben, should we talk about it?" then I wouldn't have spoken about it. And they spoke about it with me, and I thought yes. And then that manager was out of the business. Then there was another one, and they said, "Oh, okay, this can be done." When we came back from furlough, for example, from after the COVID,
Yeah.
and yeah, so this person organised for me to have an extra person come down for me.
How did you manage in COVID? Actually, that's really interesting.
Oh, I was very bored. I was very bored.
Oh,
Tell
were
you what,
you at home? Were you not working?
yeah, I was not working as much as I wanted to, and I really did battle to go back. But this is another thing: how the company cared for me. They could have said, "Oh, come back and get COVID," but they didn't. They said, "No, this is our company procedure. You have a condition where you're on the list of vulnerable conditions. Therefore, it wouldn't be safe for us to let you back in the business until it's safe for you to be so." And that was right. And at that time, I kept thinking, "Oh, I really want to go back," but it's not about what I want. It's about would I have come out the other end if I'd got COVID with MS because it's a vulnerable condition? I could have been very unwell, and
Yeah.
that's if God forbid I didn't get long COVID because a lot of people are suffering this. So I was out of the business for a good 3-4 months, and but in that time I used the time to do my CPD, try to keep myself healthy, trying to sort of like do my online gym classes and that, and try to go out
Oh,
for walks.
yeah.
But yeah,
But I think the thing that's coming across really strongly is that having a supportive organization or line manager has really
yes,
helped you.
absolutely. I have a fantastic store manager, fantastic area manager, and everybody just wants to help. And
Mm,
just there's nothing's too much. Nothing is too much. But at the end of the day, like I was saying to you before, you have to be proactive and not reactive. You
mm,
really have to sort of like you have to think, how can I achieve things? It's not about being spoon fed the whole time. I've never wanted to be spoon fed. From my conversation before, as you'll appreciate, ever since a child, I've never been spoon fed.
mm.
So I like to do things myself. And if it didn't work, then hey ho, it didn't work. But at least you would have tried.
Yeah, that
And, it,
whole, sorry,
and
sorry, yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, for example, when I was doing my pre-reg exams, I kept thinking, what's the worst that can happen? I'll fail it. I'll do it again. I'll fail. I'll do it again. But
Mm,
I didn't. I didn't fail it. But you, that's the worst that can happen. But then, and it won't happen if you've got the if you got the if you got the inspiration inside you. I want to do this. Then I would say you're 90% there.
mhm.
You're
Yeah.
90% there. Because some people don't even have that, unfortunately. But because of the support I've received, people around me, I cannot say that. I cannot complain. I cannot complain.
No, I think that's fantastic. I think also that's a really good point that there's some self-drive that's pushing you along,
Yes.
and taking control. Because I think sometimes in these situations, depending on where you're at with it, it can feel like you don't have any control. Especially when you've not got the right support or people are saying no. You can feel a bit out of control in a situation.
Yeah. But I've never felt like that. I've always felt in control. I've always felt
Mm.
in control. Mm,
And oh, sorry, Karen Binta.
no, no, no. Like I said, sorry, one. Sorry, I've got this awful cold at the moment. Excuse me. Sorry about this. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's the control part. But you just have to know this is where I'm aiming. And
Mm,
regarding the IP course, for example, I've been on this since June last year. This is how much I think about things because I was thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? But I found my support, and obviously I found this is the way around to do it. And you just have to, like I was saying about thinking out of the box.
mm, mm. Yeah, yeah. Thinking creatively about the
Yeah,
solutions.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
brilliant.
And
And
you also have to think like you can't always work all the time as well, because people that are always academic are not always the most well-rounded people. So you have to think what other things can I do to inspire myself.
mm,
Like I said, I go to the disabled friendly gym where I see all these disabled people exercise in a way, and they're good people, and they're coming there to achieve something,
yeah,
and that's where I'm aiming.
it's incredible where you can find inspiration, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's good to get that break away from work as well.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
just to end, I suppose, just a final point. I know we talked about some of the enablers and taking control and having those conversations, but did you have any final points for anyone that's listening who might be feeling a bit discouraged from going into community pharmacy because they might have a disability or a long-term condition
And
and
never,
feel like
never
it's
be,
not for them?
never be discouraged. Like I was saying to you in the if, preliminary conversations, I was when we were organising to do our pre-reg, I was sitting at the top of this big lecture theatre. All these pharmacists. I kept thinking, number one, I've got a disability. Number two, my walking's not that great. Number three, I've got MS. Will Boots employ me? Now, the Boots teacher practitioner, her name was Louisa Hearn. I just wish I can get hold of Louise these days to say thank you. I wouldn't even know where she is in the company,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But I struggled downstairs because I was walking in those days. The the lecture theatre didn't even have any banisters to get down. I remember holding on to. I think I counted 18 sort of sets of chairs to get down,
Yeah,
and it was down. There's nothing to hold on to. I kept thinking, oh my God, 17, 8. I got to the bottom and I said to her, Louise, I really want to apply to Boots, but I don't think they'll employ me because I've got a disability. She said to me, Binta, apply. You've got the chances of anybody. And if you do, you just need one person to give you that inspiration, and that springboarded me into the whole organisation. And like I said to you, you just have to try. Just count those 17 steps, even if you have to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a really good. And sometimes it only takes one person just to go,
Yes.
you've got this, you can do it.
You've got this, yes. You've got this. And like, I mean, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody and to yourself. And I've got some fantastic family and friends, and I did say I'd say this today, and I hope I can. I've got some fantastic carers as well. They've been
Yeah.
wonderful. All these people work as a team to look after me, and family and friends, like I said. I'm truly blessed. I am.
But I think that's, well, thank you for, and that's really, kind. And I think actually I'm really glad you mentioned the whole team. I think sometimes people forget the number of people to
Yes.
enable. Yeah. And so, the fact that there's different elements, the health and social care element coming together to make it
Yes,
possible.
exactly. I do call my carers my entourage. So yes, but they're good people. They are
Mm.
good people.
Oh, brilliant. Any final words from yourself, Binta?
Just thank you to you. Thank you for this opportunity, and I really hope that I've inspired a wheelchair user to come forward to be a pharmacist, because you can. You can do it. Just try and you can.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, Binta, for your time today and talking to us. And I think that's a really key thing, that actually it is possible with the right support. And actually, hopefully, for some of our managers and line managers hearing this today, that, you can also enable this. So please do support your colleagues in enabling them to have lifelong thriving careers in pharmacy too. And the fact that what is really interesting is that your disability has changed throughout your career, and
Yes.
so that's a really big issue, and I think really key to highlight that needs will change. Nothing ever stays the same. So your needs will change, and it's also being aware of that and just checking in with people, going, okay, has that adjustment, is that still working for you, or what more do we need to do? Or have things changed in how you need to work? So I think that's another key point to highlight. But thank you so much for your time today, Binta, and I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you coming into the office as well. It's been really nice for you to be here. So thank you very much. And thank you for everybody listening. And as always, we're always looking for positive case studies or experiences of how things can work in pharmacy really well, so we can share and inspire and learn from each other. So if you're listening to this and you'd like to share your story, or even any of the challenges that you've experienced, please do get in touch. And you can go to our website as well to look at the resources that are available. But thank you again, Binta, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Aman. Okay.